Hey guys, Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Remember to like and subscribe my channel and click on that little bell so you get notified whenever I do release a new video. Today we're continuing to look at deep drive baseball and the different charts. I find a deep drive baseball is really achieved a great playability factor, a high playability factor. It plays very fluidly, very easy, and it doesn't take you for a lot of twists and turns. It's got a level of nuance and detail that's beyond your average basic game. All the players have kind of unique talents and unique skill levels. It's one aspect of the game. The deep drive chart is also a beautiful and dramatic, twist on your standard 50-50 fare. So it's got a little bit of everything. It's a nice little package. It's quite affordable. It doesn't have the printed out cards, but you can go on there and for $15 you can get, there's one season for every decade, and he will build upon that. So let's remember to join Universal Baseball Association Facebook group, and of course the Deep Drive Facebook group as well. And today what I'm going to do is look at two charts. In my previous video, I looked at base running and how beautiful it plays, and how simple it plays, and how binary it is, and how easily rolled out it is as you're playing. You don't have to get sidetracked. You don't have to add and subtract. You don't have to look at 4 or 5 different factors in the game as you go. It's called kind of abstracted and embedded. It's integrated, and it's been analyzed and kind of built already with certain things in there, but you still have the manager's choice option where you can decide, do I want my player to go? Am I going to, release my players and coaches to make those decisions on their own on the field? Because as a manager in the dugout, you're definitely not making any base running decisions. That's happening. Those decisions are made by the player who's running, and also by the coach who's on the coaching on the field, both the third base coach really, because the first base coach is not really giving too many instructions, but the third base coach is really the key to aid in that base runner advancement. Today we're looking at bunting and hit and run, and how when you need to bunt, the simplicity of it, so you can move away from getting bogged up in the details. And that's what I feel that some of these charts and spreadsheets and matrices do. They kind of obfuscate the simplicity, right? By just giving you too much, and sometimes you do need those instructions, right? I'm not sure, but the way it looks, it can be more daunting than it needs to be. Let's quickly look here. All right, so on the left, we're going to have bunting chart. Now, the roll is normal, but then you're going to have a play result code, and this is going to tell you who fields the bunt. The pitcher is 0 to 1, catcher is 2 to 3, the first baseman is 4 to 6, and the third baseman is 7 to 9. Very easy to remember, right? Lower numbers: pitcher, catcher, first base, third base, and then of course your second baseman and your shortstop are doing other things. So let's look at the chart. So you're going to roll the 2d6 like you normally would, and then you're going to look on the pitcher's chart or the batter's chart, depending, 0 to 49, it's off the batter, and 50 to 99 is off the pitcher. The result there, and what you expect to get most of the time is an out, and that out leads you to this chart right here, right? Where it says lead runner is thrown out by fielder if you roll a 1, right? So roll 1 die and check the following chart. A 0 is a pop out, runner holds. A 1 is a runner is thrown out. So these are the outliers, the anomalies. 2 to 4, you're going to go to a defensive manager's choice chart, which I tend to ignore. Okay? I tend to ignore and just have my players, feel the ball and get the out at first. Okay, now, if I have a 5 at third base, like a Greg Nettles, for example, or a Brooks Robinson, right? Top fielding third baseman. Or if I have a Keith Hernandez at first base, or Mark Grace, these are top fielding first basemen. These are 5s. And then if I have a base runner who's an average, slow, or very slow runner, immediately is going to kick in, hey, maybe I can get the runner at the advancing base, right, in that bunt attempt. and that's going to be between 2 and 4. Then between 5 and 9, it's basically a hit. So the simplicity of it, when it's an out, most of the time, if there's an average guy running and it's not a very slow guy, and remember, with you on your 9 players, and I showed that in my earlier video, I just picked a random team and I went over the speed ratings for the different players, and very slow, slow, average, fast, and very fast. Most players on the team that I just randomly picked were average speed, and I would venture to say that most players are going to be average speed on your teams. You may get a team that has faster guys, fast, and then very fast guys, but that is probably a special team. I don't think it's your average team. Okay, so when again the typical result, the result you're going to find happening most of the time, where you won't have to look at the chart, is an out on your pitcher card or on your hitter card, right? Of course, base on balls is a ball, strikeout is 2 strikes. So that covers a lot of the outs, right? The strikeout and the rest of the outs are pretty much, you're still at bat. So it's 2 strikes with a strikeout, whether it's on the pitcher card or the batter card. And if it's an out, then you're going to roll on this little separate chart, which you can easily memorize. You roll a 10-sided die, and a 0 is a pop out, a 1 is lead runners thrown out. Everything else is probably going to be a good sacrifice, unless you have that one particular situation where you find you have a really good first baseman or a really good third baseman. It could be a really good catcher, a really good fielding pitcher. So you look at your defense, and you kind of, once you learn your defense, then you say, okay, if I roll a 2 or a 4 on this 10-sided die after I get an out on that bunt, which is what normally happens, the majority of the time, probably 80% of the time, maybe 70% of the time, you're going to get 75% of the time you're going to get an out of some kind. You know what you have to do. Remember, if you have those top quality fielding guys, then you're going to look at this chart here, right, on the lower left-hand corner. And if you have a very slow runner on base, you're going to have a good advantage with a 5 guy. If you have a 3, your average guy, then it starts, and you have an average runner, it's 40% chance here that you can get him at the following base. But then you're stuck with a situation where there's runners on first and second, just as an example, and nobody out, right? Because you try to get that advancing runner, the lead runner, if you will. But if you have a more extreme situation where you have that really good fielder and you have a slow runner, now the odds are in your favor, and you may want to try to get that lead runner. Okay, so that's the bunt. So the bunt is straightforward. There's some more unusual results, which is the single result, and then you're going to roll on this chart right here. If it's a single or a single plus, a 0 is batter. If the batter is a VS base runner, they are out. It's a sacrifice hit. If the batter is VS, very slow or slow runner, they are out on a sacrifice hit. So that's 0 to 2. 3 and 4, if the batter is F or very fast, they are safe on an infield single. Right? Common sense. 5 and 6, if the batter is a batter is a center field runner, they are safe on the infield single, and all runners advance 1 base. Otherwise, they are out on a sacrifice hit. And finally, 7 to 9 is the sacrifice, and that is the bunt chart. I was kind of just going through, if the batter is a CF runner, what is that probably a VF is what they meant. That should be a VF. If the batter is a very fast runner, they are safe on an infield single, and all runners advance 1 base. Otherwise, they are out on a sacrifice hit. Shouldn't be CF. That didn't make any sense. And I was like, center field runner. What does that mean, the center field runner? It doesn't make any sense. So it's probably a typo there. It should be VF, right? That would make more sense. Anyway, all right. Now the next one I want to go to is something that happens relatively. It should happen. I'm from the APA school of base running, to where you use hit and run no more than 2 times a game. So twice a game usually I'll try to hit and run with the right people. I'm not going to hit and run with Reggie Jackson. I'm not going to hit and run with Willie Horton. Not with those type of but more guys that are more contact hitters, and you can look at his strikeouts and you can see that he's a contact hitter. So few strikeouts, good contact hitter. Lots of strikeouts, probably swinging for the fences. So I'm going to try to hit and run with those guys with low strikeout numbers. And again, it's the same kind of concept. What's going to generally happen on your rolls? There's going to be some sort of an out, right? If it's a base on balls, you got to roll on this chart. You're going to have to roll on the steal number. It's 1 to 5 foul ball, or if it's high, it's a steal number. Same thing with the strikeout. It's going to be a strike, and you're going to have to roll. Base on balls and strikeouts, you want to hit and run with guys that don't have many of those. You're probably normally most of the time are going to get an out. Then it depends on what type of an out. And it's pretty simple to remember. A line drive is an automatic double play and hit and run. A ground ball is always going to be played as a ground ball, runner advances. So there's no chance for a double play. There's no chance for a fielder's choice outside, of course, the line drive with a ground out, right? So of any kind, whether it's a hard hit ground out, it's a slow ground out. Remember, this is abstracted and simplified, so you can get on with the game of play. You kind of get a good feel and a good sense of the value of a hit and run without it bogging down, and you started looking at all these little small details. And so this game is not that kind of game. So if you're looking for that type of game, then maybe this game is not for you. But if you're looking for a quick play, easy game with all the players, very, very affordable, where you can easily learn these simple patterns and trends in the game, so you can quickly play your way through the hit and run and the bunt, then this game, I recommend it. It's fun. The cards are super easy to read. It's large font. So if you wear glasses like me, they're easy to see. They're uncluttered, kind of like the way Apple was. They still have stats on them, but all the way towards the bottom in smaller font. So then this game is for you. So let's get back. So a deep fly ball, right, is going to be runner's hold. A fly ball, whether it's a fly ball or a deep fly ball, is runner's hold. A shallow fly ball, your lead runner is going to be doubled up. And of course, the defensive chart is roll again, defensive chart. And and I was thinking about that the other day. If you roll a defensive chart, you're going to look at if it ends up being the range on the range side or on the error side. I recommend that you go back and you look at, okay, this is not bunt. This is not bunt. On the bunt side, I forgot. I didn't even mention that part of it. Let's see. I don't think it even says that. Yeah, it doesn't. That's interesting. Oh, it does. Okay, at the end of the bunt on top. If reading, this is on the bunt, right? If reading came from the batter card blooper, it's a blooper then. Roll 1 die. If the roll is less than or equal to the fielder's rating, the ball is caught and the runner's hold. Otherwise, ball hits the ground first and it's a sacrifice hit. This is on the bunt side. If it's defense, if it's a defensive result. If it's a defensive result on the hit and run, you're just going to look at the defensive chart for whatever the result is. And that's basically it. That's understanding the bunt and the hit and run using deep drive baseball. This is Tony Porter, Cards and Dice TV. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Keep rolling, guys.